With me tonight is from left to right, from my side, I hope I'm getting this right. If I mess up, just tell me. Rastislav Bakala from Corpo, Štefan Pavelka from Cypronia, Matyás Czernák from Grand Beats Production, Filip Fischer from Charge Monkey, and Martin Ostrolúcky, from Kasagi? Okay, I got that right. So we have about 1 hour. Our panel will be, we'll have some open questions. If you have some questions for our guests, just ask, raise your hand and ask. After, we will field questions in the end. So I would like to start just because there is a wide spectrum of companies here. There are some outsourcing houses, there are some publishers, small publishers, some developers. So just very in 1 or 2 sentences, tell us about your project and what does your typical project look like? So how many people are working for the firm? What's your turnaround? What's your output, so to say? So let's just go from left to right.
Okay, so basically my name is Rastislav Bakala, I'm CEO of the Corpo company. We founded company in 2018. Currently we have 90 plus people working on. We are trying to connecting blockchain with the games. And our game we are working on is a Citizen Conflict. This is the game built in Unreal Engine 5, and we are proud that we are working with the really veterans from the different AAA studios from the game. And yes, I try to do it in 2 cents.
Good, thanks.
Hello, my name is Štefan Pavelka. I am from Cypronia. We develop a game based on the movie Jan Žižka Medieval. It's an action adventure. We're planning the release date for next year, and currently we have 14 employees, and our studio is growing, so that's in short.
Mic check. Hello, my name is Matyás Czernák. I'm responsible for the running of the business of the studio Grand Beats Production. Basically, we are a game audio production house. We cover complex audio solutions from sound design, adaptive music implementation, audio implementation, porting, voiceovers, etc. Our studio is a quite tiny one. We are 90 members, and our typical project is very difficult to define, as we work for different kind of video game developers: mobile, browser, PC, console, VR, AR.
So what does your output look like? What do you actually deliver?
Yeah, our output is the audio in the game working dynamically, interactively, and adaptively.
Hello, my name is Filip. I'm from Charge Monkey, which is a studio based Prague, Prague-based studio, around 20 people. Started with mobile game development, and we're focusing now more kind of cross-platform game development, from mobile to Web3. And I'm here also on behalf of Treestone, so I joined Peter's efforts to build a company that could eventually fund smaller indie studios and publish their games and help them to grow. Because this is kind of a natural extension of what started back in the days when I was co-founder at Pixel Federation, and we knew the problem with our scene is that we are very, closed, and everybody was like, okay, so I've been working now on my new game for 1 year, and you're asked like, what kind of game is it? I can't tell you, you're gonna steal my idea. So we started, doing meetups for game developers. And this turned out to be nowadays the Slovak Game Developers Association, which is also a vital, very important part of our ecosystem. So basically, I'm continuing on the mission to help others to succeed and grow.
Hello, my name is Martin. I'm from Kasagi, which is game outsourcing studio. And our output is art production and development. the size of the project and the size of the team depends on the project itself. So our team is now 12 people, but if project needs, we have around 15 to 16 people around. So that's it. Thank you.
So your output would be art assets or
Yes, for example, assets, environments, and so on.
Okay, so that was our first open question for everyone. I'll go another round. So has your outlook of gaming industry, in your opinion, improved or declined over the next 3 years? So are you more optimistic about your project and industry as whole, as opposed to, let's say, before the pandemic and now? And what was the main factor that influenced either your increase in happiness or decrease in happiness?
So if I may start with, as I said, we started off as mobile game developer. Due to our background, my co-founder was a part of Disney Mobile, and we met in Jiva, which is another mobile game company. And enthusiastically, we founded a studio in 2015. We had some decent success with What the Hen, sort of a card battler, fun game, very cartoony, artistic. But to be totally honest, since then we've been quite struggling, and I would say now as we work more on cross-platform projects and also into Web3, because simply the mobile market is so tough, and I would say the situation there is very complicated, and it's not because of COVID, and it's basically not because of the war, the invasion in Ukraine, but it's because of the saturation of the market, where you have like so many games being published. The quality of the games needs to be higher and higher and higher, which means talking about free-to-play, you need to have a team of 20 people working on the game for 2 years, plus minus, then going to soft launch, then tweaking the game, which means the whole thing costs around 2 to 3 million, including marketing. And that's not something that any investor would give you. Yeah, I have this brilliant idea for a mobile game, I'm gonna spend 2 years on it, give me 3 million and maybe we're gonna succeed. So the situation that we see on the mobile market is 1% of the publishers, I mean, even self-publishers, own more than 90% of revenue, right? This is insane. And also last thing to mention is it's getting more and more difficult to market the games on mobile. Because IDFA happening, first of all on Apple and now soon on Google, which means you can't track the effectivity of your marketing campaigns, which means, in other words, instead of targeting specific users for your game with some relevance, you're just shooting in the air and hoping that something gonna follow up. So we are basically burning a lot of ammunition without any effects. So I would say if any of you wants to do mobile games, now it's not the right time to start that.
Okay, for the rest of the panel?
Yeah, basically I will start that in top view perspective. I think that the pandemic really opened different layer for the players, and I think that the gaming industry will be slowly shifting, not just as entertainment, but in the future also as a socializing stuff. So as we can see in the Fortnite, there was DJ performance stuff, the Mark Zuckerberg star with the metaverse buzzword and stuff like that. So gaming will really shifting from the not just entertainment, but also really socializing for the people. People spend really much more time from the home office, they spend much more time online, and this will definitely in the future, when I'm talking about 3 years perspective, this, in my opinion, will definitely accelerate the growing industry and also the new technology like Unreal Engine, it will help for example, indie developers to really create the game much faster, so I think that the future of the gaming will be definitely much more competitive. And last sentence is that also when you compare entertainment, you go with the family to cinema, you pay, for example, 50 plus euro, but you pay and you spend there 2 hours, but when you pay, for example, a really nice game on the Steam, it's the cost of 20 euro, 50 euro, whatever, it's still cheap compared to different entertainment. So definitely we see a potential on the market.
Thanks. Štefan, Pavelka?
Yeah, I agree with Filip. Not even the mobile market is saturated and overcrowded. The same goes with console market. We develop many games on Nintendo platforms, and on Nintendo Switch at the beginning it was a very good idea to start to publish game on Nintendo Switch. But now, every week, there are so many games and so much competition. So for newcomers, for new groups, it's pretty tough to start publishing and developing games.
So basically the market saturation is becoming a problem.
Yeah, and a lot of competition. Yeah,
Okay.
Many titles.
Thanks.
My point of view is a bit different than the colleagues here because, as I mentioned, our studio is working on more projects as we are an outsourcing studio. So my sources of information are from several different sources, right? So there are a lot of development companies. We work on different mobile, PC, console projects. So once we start to work on a project, I'm just asking for the behind-the-scenes story from this studio. So there was mentioned the pandemic, right? So once somebody is asking about some success or any situation, how the market is evolving, I think 2 years is a quite big sample rate, right? To decide is the market growing or not. So let's just take an example. In the beginning of this year, when we were on White Nights in Berlin in the conference, I experienced that maybe 50 or 60% of the companies were aiming to NFTs, cryptocurrency, etc. And it was like, I don't know, 8 months ago, and now I see that the situation is quite different, right? So when we talk about longer time period, 2 years, it is very difficult to judge, is it going in a good or a bad way?
Thanks. And Martin Suski?
Yes, I'm pretty optimistic here because I could say that Corona helped a lot outsourcing studios. A lot of our clients were opened for cooperation in a way that our artists could work from home. And until the Corona, it was pretty tough to find a client that allowed that. So especially if you want to do really good, for example, 2A games, that everybody needs to have all the people in the same room and have super high security and so on. So after the Corona and after we spoke with a lot of studios, they were open, even in their own studios, for working from home. So this is for us very good, but at the same time, the market is even tougher because of that. So
even market for outsourcing?
Yes, because you have a lot of outsourcing studios there, especially when China opens to Western countries. There is a lot of outsourcing companies in China that you can't compete with, for example, with the price.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe I would like to add something what Martin told right now. Maybe you will correct me, but if I remember it well, when the pandemic started, it was 2020 February, March, something like this. In the first 2-3 weeks, everything stopped because nobody knew what will happen, right? But if I'm right, it was around 1 month or 2. People started to invest in video games. I've seen it through the projects we worked on. So our clients started to invest to the development. So the pandemic was a really positive effect on our business. It was very, very hard for me to talk with my friends that our business is growing and others were decreasing. So yeah.
Thank you. Anyone add to this round of questions? Okay. Now I would like to. Up to now we were talking about the overall environment. I would like for you to mention things that affect your company specifically? I know that the oversaturation and so on is shared problem for pretty much everyone, but the people listening to us and people in the room would be interested of, okay, what is a problem or bottleneck of company operating in Slovakia? So in recent years we were talking about lack of talent or issues hiring people. Is this still a major issue? So what's your bottleneck or what's your pain point right now? Again, we can. Who wants to pick up?
Yeah, basically, I will agree that it's mostly what we challenge every day is finding the right people to do project, and we are doing the recruiting a lot of time and spending a lot of time by finding the right people. Yes, you can use some outsourcing company from the modeling and stuff like that, also the contractor, but the biggest problem in our company is to find the right developers. In-house, you need to really be working really hard about the security, mostly when we represent the Web3 space, not just directly Web3 is like combination of the standalone application with integration to blockchain as a payment option or NFTs. But in that case, you need to really be worried about the security aspect. So that's why we are looking for developers mostly to be in-house, to have really strict the pipelines for that. So it's really challenging for us to find, for example, C++ developers with experience with Unreal Engine, with new technology, and developing before any AAA game or whatever experience. So it's definitely finding right people. And regarding the area we are working on is basically biggest challenges onboarding for the users, easy, in the right way, explain them that the Web3 is also good for them, NFT ownership for the players and so on. So basically there is also challenging in the right way to explain gamers that it's not like every Web3 game is a scam or something like that. There is literally, currently there was not good onboarding for the players.
Okay. Has the downfall of the NFT market affected you as a studio?
Yeah, basically it's not about NFT market, it's about the whole macroeconomic situation, the war, everything. When the market is going down, everything is going down, S&P, the crypto, whatever. So yes, but not for the investor part. I can see that there is still huge interest for the investors to invest into the Web3, into the right company for the right people. So I think that now is the investor market.
Okay, thanks. Štefan, Pavelka?
Yes, as the market is currently going down and the game sales numbers are going down, it was pretty good during the pandemic times because people was at homes playing games, watching TV, streaming movies. But now they are back in the office, back in the school, so maybe this is why the game sales went also down, and because of the market. And I also agree with this, that it's quite difficult in Slovakia to hire people, to find talents. I think this is one of the big issues there.
Matyás, Csernák?
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic because I think this question is appearing many times the last few years. Here in Slovakia, we have insufficient of creative, technical workforce or people who are willing to work in the game development industry. Our situation is a bit different because we are doing the audio part, right? So even if maybe Slovakia is far beyond in comparison with other EU countries in the game development, our situation is more difficult because game audio is the last part in the development. So when we are trying to hire new professionals, we are just, how should I say, following the footsteps of my game dev colleagues who are facing with this problem more years than us. So yeah, if you would ask this question, what is the biggest difficulty right now? If you would ask this question 1 year ago, then I would say to hire new people. And for us as an outsourcing studio now, in these days, it's hiring new people and also marketing to market our outsourcing service. So this is the long story short part.
So sales, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Sales, those companies who could kick off more cooperations. In the past, they can survive now much easier. So mostly I took a good sentence from the Walking Dead series: "Those who arrive survive."
So, and is it the issue of there is a tough competition, or is it the issue of, okay, we actually need to convince studios to do more outsourcing and convince them that it is cost effective and we are able to deliver and the quality control is okay and so on and so on?
What I will say is not wholly, is just my opinion, is that the structures of investments were changed in the last few months because of something. I don't know. I don't want to do any conspiracy stuff. But what I experienced, that a lot of projects were stopped, cancelled, and this is also a very current situation our studio is facing with, like, big projects were cancelled and we have to jump another one, and the onboarding process of to start a new project is quite a long period. So,
Filip Fischer?
Okay, so so what's the biggest difficulty? I would say for us is definitely funding, because, as I said, like the mobile market shifted so much. For investors, you know, like if you're looking for investment, you need to come up with something really special, you know, something that's going to stand out, and the investors, as you know, mobile game market is pretty established, so there is like a lot of know-how also on sides on the investors, and it's hard to come up with you know, a vision and a story that you can sell, and then you can prove like we can deliver that, and we have all the competencies and skills that require that, and everybody knows that gaming is a very risky business. I think like someone mentions like gambling. You know, you gamble or you have some cards and you put your all your money on the cards you have in your hand, and just sometimes it doesn't work, and mostly the casino wins. So yes, this has been very tough for ourselves. So we had to in this year we had to kind of reinvent ourselves, finding, and we are trying different opportunities. So currently we are working on 2 Web3 projects, and one of them is definitely also struggling with funding, because I think we came a bit late with an idea of creating a sort of like a gaming platform, as we have like many games in our portfolio that could be a fit. Yeah, so I would say like for us it's definitely funding the biggest issue at this point.
Martin?
No problems. I would say that something is happening here, because few years ago we don't have even game days, so it's going better and better each year. And for us, it's not about like, I don't want to say that these are the problems. Of course, if you have any industry, you have struggled with people, enough qualification, not enough resources or anything. So we changed the mindset that it's not about the Slovak people and doing business here, because industry is global. So just we go somewhere else, and if we can find here resources, that's very, very good, because we want to support everyone here, but at the same time we're going to global market, so we find resources there also. So just change the mindset is very important here.
So I'll rephrase the question for you, if you have, because you just told me that you don't have any problems in your business life, and I find that hard to believe. So, what's your when you go on to the office on a Monday, like what's on your mind? Oh, okay, I have to deal with this.
That I will.
Okay.
That's it. You have problems, but you will overcome them.
Okay.
It's simple.
That's good to hear, I think, in the panel. So, moving on, we have been talking about oversaturation of the markets. So I'll get to that. But before we get to that, I would like to pick your brains on an issue of rising costs, because for years we've been talking about or hearing about, okay, we have assets costs are rising, technical costs are rising, and it's more and more complicated and costly to actually develop the game. And over the recent years, we have seen new tools being developed, new on the horizon. We see new generative AI models that promise you to actually cut costs on assets. Tools like Unreal Engine and upcoming Unity updates promise you to actually cut your costs on technical side and development. Do you feel that we are coming to a sort of breaking point when the cost of actually developing will start to fall, and the AA or A or AAA titles will get more competition because smaller studios will be able to do more with less people? If the rising cost of development is being broken by new tools, basically.
I don't think so at all. I think that also this pandemic and everything from work from home, like our colleague said, it's really accelerate the people to work from home, the competitions and quality, and also like every year we can see the crazy inflation on the market. So I definitely think that the salary and for example, when we are hiring people and we find somebody in the USA market, it doesn't have time to spend even an hour on the call with them because it's like really crazy overpaid, like 3-5 times more like the European people. So I think that also this is challenging because this, for example, Slovak, Ukraine developers, designers, they will want to reach this salary. And I think that, okay, we have Unreal Engine, new tools, generated content, but you still need to have these people, and I think that it's the bigger expensive in every IT company, developer company, there's the human resources.
Anyone else?
To follow your question about how technology and assets can improve the quality of the game, so even with less people you can develop better games. I would agree with that because in our case we are small indie studio, and for example 5 years ago, if you wanted to have motion capture animations in your project, you had to invest $100,000 euro in hardware, like 48 cameras or several cameras, and now it's a possibility to buy a Lycra suit, for example, for Xsense, which costs definitely less, and you can produce really good motion capture. So it saves people, it saves your money. So even small projects can have pretty decent animations now. And also Unreal Engine comes with this meta-human stuff and everything. So I think in the future more and more games will have really good facial animation and higher standards, speaking of visuals and technologies.
Okay.
Again, sorry?
Go on.
Again, my opinion will be just my subjective opinion, that the new technologies can cause increasing some competitors, for sure. What I can tell you is that in 2021, I was jury member on the White Knights Dev Contest online, so I had the chance to look up hundreds and hundreds of video games. There were like, I don't know, 400, 500 video games, and I was very surprised at how many one-man bands, like one developer is doing the graphics, programming, sound, etc. How many one-man bands could design or develop a quite good-looking game, right? Because of the new technologies. But I think it's just the first look of the big competition. Because, as I mentioned, those who arrive survive. Somebody has to finish this game, right? And I think the back end of the business is still very difficult. So maybe on the first look, there are a lot of new games coming out using the same Unity or Unreal asset stores and pretty good surfaces and pretty good everything in the game. But the second question is how many of these projects can really survive and go on. So yes and no is my answer.
Okay, yes and no, because each year you have a better hardware, software, but at the same time, you have to have someone who understands it, and you have to pay the person. So the most expensive thing in game industry are people still. So hardware is good. You have Unreal Engine 5. You can do amazing things like super real things, but you have to have someone there who understands the program and make it so good, so nice. And so yes and no. Filip?
Just to add to that, yeah, I mean, like the tools are better, which is cool, but this also means like the high bar is increasing. Like each time you have better tools, people can use those tools to create better experiences, and you need then more people. So it's making your life easier, but not cheaper, in effect, right? And from like mobile game development, and I'm talking like free to play, where you need like many very specific, skills that are quite narrow. Yeah, like talking about like a marketer who can operate performance campaigns. You need a marketer who can operate, I don't know, social media, and come up with the ideas, etc., all the way to like very specific like data analysts, and try to like find someone who is doing like data analysis in gaming and mobile free to play space, and also like in these very specific genres, right? Because if I'm supposed to go to the investor and claim like lately we've been working on a city builder for female audiences for 1.5 years, and now it's like in a Šuflik. So, but then the investor would say like, okay, you guys, you're like in the pitch deck, you're like all male guys. Like, how do you want to create a game for women? Like, it doesn't add up. And then you need to find specifically like these people who can have some experience, in that particular area. So that's the difficulty.
Okay, I'll want to stick with the new tools team for just a second more. This is for our outsourcing house panelists. Are you concerned about the new generative AI models we have seen in this year, of the ability to actually draw decent assets? And when you look at the curve that's going, are you concerned about disruption to your core business of, okay, I'm actually generating assets and now someone can have it like for free running on a graphics card? And how do you think about it will affect your business in coming years?
Good question. I think the most important thing is who do you want to sell? So, of course, there will be much better assets for free. You have Unreal library, and there you can find hundreds, thousands of assets. But the client wants something specific, something with their own feel, with their own art, because signature, that's the word, yes. And this is something you can't find on any library. You can use it for example, prototyping, or indie game developers can use it a lot. But if you are going to make something that you need to stand out.
Yeah, and another thing is what was mentioned a few minutes before is the human resources, human force. So somebody has to do it in the end of day. So one thing is to get some assets from some stores free or somehow. It's not a question. More the question is how it will work in the game. When we are doing some complex audio solutions, one thing is from where I could get a sound effect or a music, right? But it's just a file which is not working, which has somehow to work in the game. So I don't think so. We have some artificial intelligence who could do some adaptive audio or adaptive music or I don't know, audio porting for Nintendo Switch just by itself. So I don't feel any threats or competition from this way. I know that there are a lot of different sources from where our clients or partners could get the sounds or music for much better price, but I know that they will understand 2 weeks before the deadline that it was a mistake.
Okay. Pavelka?
In some scenarios, it may work. For example, in our case, we develop a game based on movie. If we want to use some grass or a tree, of course, we can use something from asset store and modify it a little bit. Grass is a grass. But, for example, we have characters, and they must look the same as in the movie. So they have specific clothes, specific faces, haircut. So you're not gonna find that in any asset store. So we need to model it properly. So it depends on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, like I saw some of these AI, generating images, which I think is pretty fascinating. It's totally cool. Like I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't call that creativity yet. I think like before some machine-like thing can substitute like human creativity, it will take some time yet. But I see definitely a use for that because you can tell the AI like you want to some sort of image that combines this and that, which is like super useful for creating like mood boards, kind of like exploring a creative direction. It can add up when I compare that like when we are starting a new project, we are testing a lot of visuals. So we want to achieve a market fit, which means like also on the visual side, we are trying low poly, high poly, this kind of visualization, colors, blah, 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 blah. There is a lot of moving parts. So, and this helps because then I can tell my colleagues, okay, they can explore something on their own, and I could use also the AI to generate ideas that maybe we wouldn't even think about.
So it's rapid prototyping, basically.
Yeah, like for this is definitely useful.
And then for the outsourcing houses, you basically, you are saying that, okay, we may get the rapid prototypes, but there is someone who still needs to actually process them, to package them, to work on those, and to actually get them to games. So that's where you see your role shifting, just if I'm getting it right.
Yeah, exactly. I think in a phase of prototyping or in such case of, I don't know, brainstorming, this kind of stuff what Filip mentioned could be quite useful. So for sure, we have also some very secret processes in our studio, which I'm not approved to present right now, but we, in the phase of some kind of brainstorming or just to find some good combination by an accident, for example, right? So for this way could be some stuff like Filip mentioned, very quite useful. So yeah, but in the end of the day, as I told, somebody will have to like develop it further and finish what is the most important.
Okay, we are experimenting with AI a lot these days and trying to figure out if it could help to speed up the process, especially the concept art process. But at the end, you can generate like 60 or 150 images of the X, and you have a problem to choose then. So it could help a lot, but at the end, there should be someone who pick up something and the other one who then blend it together and create the something final. So definitely use it, it's great, but at the end you have to decide which one to use and if it's fit to your game, for example.
Okay,
and maybe I can add, speaking of if AI can substitute the work, the people, maybe currently if you are a music producer and maybe you need a cover and some abstract cover art, so maybe you can use it. So DTP studios may have a problem now, but for serious work, it's too soon to say that it can substitute our jobs in maybe in future?
Sure. I'll one last question from me, and then we have some from the audience. We touched several times on market oversaturation, of difficulty of actually getting the product or to target the audience. So we are seeing this all over the spectrum. There are 100 games a day, sometimes on Steam published, or getting in early access. Mobile markets have been messed for years now. Switch has been messed for several years now. So, and then from the other side of actually overcrowded markets, we are seeing push from the largest companies like Microsoft and Apple, Netflix, Sony, starting to build up subscription models and subscription offers and working as sort of gatekeepers. So it seems like small developers are being squeezed from both sides of the market. Like, okay, either I'll get from what I can get from the big guys or drown in the sea of competitors. So how do you think, how do you solve for that? What's the solution, or what do you think that will happen in the market? Or do you see an approach that is worth trying? Or and then are you concerned, do you think that the subscription model and sort of accepting some sort of gatekeeping from the largest players, it could be a solution to the overcrowding of the market?
Basically, it's just a personal opinion, but we couldn't imagine in the past few years that you will pay $10 for thousands of movies for the Netflix and stuff like that. So definitely the monopoly in the gaming industry and subscription model is definitely coming, you know. And I think that solution in what we talk about many times is money, and put the money into the marketing and do marketing on your own, because yes, that's why there is many indie development, many game. There is saturation of project, crazy. Every day is 1,000 new gaming, but you should put as much money to marketing as you did from the development itself. And I think that this is the biggest problem also in this market, overall the market, to find investors, to put the money to development, find the people, and then marketing it as least with the money you put into the development. Because yes, there is a crazy amount of the projects on the Epic or Steam. Yes, there is some kind of mega grants and stuff you can do, some cooperative marketing stuff with these platforms. But overall, it's really hard now in this stage. Competition is getting better. There is the new tools, so the standard will getting higher and higher. So what was good enough for 5 years ago, now it's not enough, even from the indie developers. So definitely you need to find right investors. You need to doing your business model and thinking about the marketing a lot.
Yes, but is it sustainable? Because we have been talking about that, okay, everyone is trying that. Everyone is trying to find people, to find resources to actually address the market and get above the line. And what I've been hearing tonight is it's hardly working for many people.
I think that it's sustainable, that it's $1 billion market. You can see how much money, for example, Call of Duty put into the trailer. So definitely the gaming is the huge investment potential for in a bigger studio and for everybody to get involved. So I think that definitely it's sustainable.
Okay.
It's going to be hard to get the attention, from the users, because there is so much happening in the space. So that's going to be definitely like I would say there will be a lot of creativity needed, on the side of not just creating a great game, but also bringing it to the people, so they can notice. I was amazed first when I heard about Loot River by Straka Studios, and I think there, the approach that he took, is really brilliant, right? That's the way how you're supposed to do it. You can be a small studio, you can bring up very nice ideas and then prototype them, and once you see they suck, you need to kill that and start over, because once you're showing, I would say it's very important to, once you have a build of your game, also a very early one, or just an idea, then go out there and meet people and show them, tell them, because you can see instantly you're pitching your game idea to someone, And he's like, yeah, okay, how's the weather? So obviously it's nothing interesting. So, and you can do that before you start building a prototype and waste your life and resources on it. So, and I think this is super important, that goes like hand in hand with the actual development of the game, that you need to verify your idea, test it out, find your sweet spot out there, because otherwise you spend your money and time on creating a game for a year, and then you find like, okay, so I can't market it, like no one pays attention to it because it's just another RPG or whatever.
I would return back to subscription model business. We see what is happening even in the movies. You have Netflix, you have HBO, Disney, Amazon Prime, there are new coming. And if you count this and you wanna join all subscription, it's like 10, 12, 15. And the gaming companies, like big platform holders, are doing the same. So you will have like Nintendo, PS, Microsoft, Steam. No, Steam is not a subscription model right now, but at the end, there will be many of them, and something will happen because it will cost you more than €100 every month if you want to subscribe everything. So people will choose the best platforms, and the others platforms will probably have problem.
And so we were saying that the subscription, that the gaming is headed towards some sort of subscription model, which will either become dominant or major part of the business. Are you concerned about this sort of gatekeeping aspect, especially for smaller projects? Before the markets were super saturated, you had some sort of creative freedom that you could, if you found an investor, you started a project and then you could find a success. So if this is failing because the market is oversaturated, and then you have on the other side, you have gatekeepers that, okay, I can make my game, but I need to find someone at Sony or Microsoft that will actually say, okay, this is fine, I'll go and do that, and I'll give you this and this much money for that. So are we going to the days of big publishing deals before the digital markets that were supposed to actually break the foothold of large publishers on what are you able to publish? Days 15 years ago, without publishing deal, you couldn't go public. There was no way to actually get to the players. That was changing, and are we now going back?
Yes, the market is changing from year to year, and if I would know what's gonna happen,
okay.
it would be great. But now I can just guess, and it's hard to guess what's gonna happen, how it reflects. But we will see soon.
Yeah, I don't think that the subscription platforms like Netflix is trying to add, these games. I don't think that will be a game changer in the sector. I don't really think that, because it's going to be just another storefront, just like a Google Play Store, just like the App Store, just like anything, right? And it's not really helpful in the way of discovering new experiences. For instance, a very, very interesting thing to think about is basically Google Play Store and the App Store. They are not personalized, right? So whatever they feature to everybody. Then maybe on some low level, they kind of like show you the kind of games that you are, because they know like what is installed on your phone. So they should know, like, obviously I would never play a Match 3 game because I never downloaded a single one. So why they're trying to kind of,
but
sell it to me.
This week you might love Bejeweled, like you never know.
Yeah, right. So I don't think like there is going to be like a big change because of this, and it's always going to be a big struggle in this publishing space. And the second part of the question, like publish with publishers or try it by yourself. I'm like always in history we signed like a couple of publishing deals, never worked. So I would say like don't ever do that unless you are really forced to do so, because that's like what Peter was mentioning in the morning with the circle of death. So you need, I don't know, a few $100K to finish your game and to publish it. So you sign a deal with the publisher, they're gonna give you, I don't know, $200K with a recoup with some percentage on top. So, and they calculate, okay, this game can sell 100,000 copies, so okay, they're gonna get those 200K plus extra 50 on top, and then the rest they're gonna split like 50-50, but there's no rest to split. So you end up like, after 2 years of development, you have no game, you have no money, and you start over once again in the same circle. So yeah, I think nowadays that's a good point and a good part, that it's not really that much difficult to kind of self-publish, and if you calculate that, like how much the publisher will eat up of your royalties, then maybe it makes sense, because you don't need to sell like hundreds of thousands of copies to. But the problem that everybody is starting very late with the marketing. Yeah, I would say once again, like Miro Straka, Loot River, marketing has to be like from the very inception of the game idea.
Thanks. One more answer, and then we'll go to the audience questions.
Yeah, it is very difficult for me to be an outsider, so I don't want to be an outsider of this topic. And to be honest, I was strongly thinking about what will I say to this question. Maybe we should ask, because actually your question was, will it help to the market or not? Maybe we could ask which part of the market, like the B2C or B2B, right? Because it's, I think, a very maybe difficult or different point of view. Maybe it will be much easier for the players, but if we could translate it to any kind of, I don't know, all-you-can-eat Chinese restaurant where you pay only once, and
that's dependent on if actually you get fair deals from the large subscription holders. So if the ones offering the packages for you give you good deals to actually be part of the package, from what we hear from the indie studios involved with those, those are right now decent, but that could change once if you don't find ability to actually self-publish. There is no competition, and we know where that leads. Okay, I want to get to several. There are few very good questions. One I like the most: has the increased acceptance of home office affected talent drain in Slovakia? So, are we seeing that developers living in Slovakia are now able to work for foreign companies, and has this been a factor for you?
In our case, our opinion, yes, definitely. It's have bigger audience, mostly from the modeler and the environment department, as we said. But I saw also nice post from the Elon Musk on the Twitter that Twitter employees can work from home, but not from Twitter. So basically, it's depend on the security aspect probably, but definitely it has a huge impact on our company.
Our studio, we still work in-house. We have every people in-house, so it's not a question for me, I think.
But do you think that you are having more difficulty finding people to work for you in-house because developer that would actually accept the offer from you now can accept the offer from somewhere in the US and get paid US rates?
It depends on the type of work.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say yes for art, but in our case, the programming part, they need to be together, so okay. It's better, it's faster.
We do not like home office.
Okay. Good.
Maybe I could say that I'm very happy that something like this is happening, because if I'm a freelancer, I would be very happy that I could work with someone in America or somewhere else. And as a, for example, producer, I'm also happy because I can find someone very talented here in Slovakia, and that is just because she worked with someone else, even skillful. And that's very good. So more people will work with foreign countries, it will also benefit our own country. So.
Okay.
Just to add, I think works both ways. So of course, like there is the risk that someone gonna hire our people, but we can also hire talented people, and also like for part-time from anywhere on the planet. Another aspect is in the past when you were talking with investors, they would ask you like, what's your team and who's there, and they would automatically want to assume that these people are working with you in your office. And if they see like, okay, but this guy who is like super, I don't know, talented, whoever, is like remote, that doesn't count. But now this is like changed completely, also in like the publishing models, which is great. So I think it's helpful.
Okay, go on.
And I just wanted to tell my real answer. We didn't went to home office when the pandemic started, as we work with audio and it is very difficult for us. But what I experienced is that the home office can have some negative effect on the people's interactivity, the personal stuff, etc. So yeah.
Sure. We have, I think, 1 minute left, so I just want to do a lightning round question. Just yes or no, please. One from the audience: do you expect downfall of this year video game revenues overall? If you have a revenue stream and are willing to talk about it in your company, but let's stick with the overall question. Do you expect the revenues to fall?
Yes.
Probably yes.
No.
I think it's gonna be pretty much the same as it was. There will be like really no downfall, but it will be like no growth.
I don't know.
Okay, and one, just because I'm super interested, do you think that in 3 years' time, VR will actually be relevant gaming platform?
No.
It depends maybe on the new virtual reality device from PlayStation. It may change something, but we will see.
No.
No.
We are, as we know today, no, but maybe in the future.
Okay, so 3 no's and 2 maybes. Okay, thank you. I'm afraid that's all the time we have today. It's been a great pleasure talking to you guys. It's been a great pleasure to having you audience here. Thanks.